Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Buffalo Wild Wings in Pikeville, Kentucky. It's a UPIKE football coaches show. I'm Rick Bentley. He's the coach, Corey Phipps, and he's the reason that we're having a coaches show here today. Coach, what's this week been like for you?
Yeah, it's been a good week. You know, the weather's kind of held out for us a little bit. You got a little rain. We practiced yesterday morning at 5:45 a.m. because we had a couple of soccer games in the afternoon, evening, on the Bob Amos Field. So outside of getting some guys to functionally work an alarm clock, you know, it was a really good week.
I know. When you practice that early, it's guaranteed somebody's showing up late.
Yeah. Well, they were pretty good about that. But we talk a lot about, you know, a lot of real men got to get up in the morning. They got to grab a hard hat. They got to grab a lunch pail, and they got to get to work. And whether you're blue collar or white collar, there's a lot of guys got to do so. So I talk a lot about my dad being a contractor and my mom commuting about an hour and 45 minutes each way, you know, when she had to. So, you know, we I asked the guys to talk about a few of their dads and, you know, moms and, you know, what they do for a living and, you know, how early are they getting up. We kind of try to spin some things into some real manhood conversations.
My dad was a coal miner, and so when he would go in the hospital, you know, as he got older and cancer and that sort of stuff, I would tell the nurses, I'd say, he'll be the best patient you got until you tell him, you know, you might get to go home tomorrow. Because for him, tomorrow starts at 3:30.
Yeah, no doubt.
And he thinks it's tomorrow. It's time to go to the house.
Yeah.
So
that's funny.
And and every time they would look at me and go, "You're right," and I know I am. Coach, tell us about Maryville.
Yeah, Maryville College, their Division III school playoff team last year. Really, really great program. Ben Fox is their head coach. Kind of interesting situation. You know, St. Andrews shuts down. We need a game. They need a game because a team on their schedule picked up a guarantee game that St. Andrews had slotted. So Mark Fox, Ben's dad, calls me and says, "Hey, my boy needs a game, and you need a game. Can I get you guys together?" So Mark had been the athletic director and VP of athletics at Milligan College and really a mentor to me as an athletic director when I was at Kentucky Christian and here. So he put us together. We talked about it. I said, "I really want you to come here." He said, "Man, if I do that, I only got 2 home games." I said, "Well, I'm not going to strong arm you there." So I asked Point and some people to shift and move around and to get us balanced to 5-5 in terms of home and away games. So yeah, you know, it's going to be a day game. They don't have lights. They got a beautiful grass field. Usually a great atmosphere from what I've seen and watched over the years there. And really, you know, I think Ben is an outstanding human being, great father, and you know, so it's always good to line up against a coach you respect.
Let's talk about scheduling just for a minute, because it's one thing to say you need a game and I need a game, but those weeks have to match up.
They do. Football's this bizarre thing where you're handed, you know, X amount of games, and then when you lose a game in your conference play, you can't pick it up there because all the preseason games are available early in the season. You got to start shifting and shuffling. So, you know, it was either that or fly all the way to Idaho to play the Vandals out there in Moscow. So we decided not to do that.
That's probably a good move right there. I don't think there's any question about that. Coach, last week we're up 17-0, and this is my interpretation of where the shift happened. And you tell me, because you've seen film and you know more about it than I'll ever know about football. But we were up 17-0.
You made me take a drink, and there was no bourbon in that. There was no bourbon in that.
I saw you were looking for it. We get the ball in their end of the field to start a drive, and we just can't. And I was in the press box. It was a frustrating day for me anyway because nothing went right. But I mumbled to myself, "Let's score right here and finish this thing off." And it just didn't happen.
Without a doubt. That could have been a moment. There was a moment earlier in the game where we should have got a touchdown on a slot fade that we didn't get. There was a moment where we didn't make another big play. There were moments. And then you get into the ball game later, and, you know, you know, a lot of football is a counting system. You know, we miscount on a punt, and you know, and Barry Bentley, our CFO, just told me, you know, "Hey, man, you got to get that Austin Miner a pay raise. You're a special teams guy." And he jinxed us there, I guess. And we got that one blocked, and that you know, that just killed us. And, you know, and then later we had a strip sack for a touchdown. And, you know, if there was a guy that I, you know, hate losing to more, I don't know if he's out there than Tim Mathis, because we're really, really good friends. Matter of fact, we ran up to Bear Mountain and looked around before the ball game, and I hate it because we are competitive and good friends. But, you know, they weathered the storm and they found a way to win the game. You know, I felt like we have just got to mature in some spots, and it's nobody's business at home watching to know what I think those spots are and that my players think those spots are. We've had those conversations, talked about it, try to learn from the film and move forward. But, I will tell you that I am a firm believer in you will learn more from your failures as a human being than you will from your triumphs. And I believe that in these first 3 games, there were some failures that will really serve us well down the stretch during this season if we learn from them. If you don't, then you're in trouble. But I really believe I've got a good enough group of human beings as players and coaches that we're all trying to learn from those things and strive to fix those things. And, the sun came up on Sunday morning. Church bells rang.
That they did.
The offering plate was passed around. Things did not stop.
I'm the guy who rings my church bell. So
yeah, there you go.
I'm familiar with that term for sure. Coach, who'd you bring with you today?
Yeah, so we brought 2 players with us today. We brought Landon Rowe, who's a starting defensive lineman from Pikeville High School that's in his 3rd year with us. That's an outstanding player for us. I think you've got him in class. You're going to talk a little bit about academics.
Yep.
And then we've got Micah Lee, who's a senior offensive lineman who's played really, really well for us. And, been an all-conference guy and strangely enough is played on a torn ACL for multiple years. Just a tough guy. Originally from Louisville, so we got 2 Commonwealth guys here, 2 guys from the state of Kentucky that understand what it means to play for the University of Pikeville and the pride they bring to it.
We talk about this typically when we go on the road. Tell me what the weekend's going to look like.
Yeah, weekend's going to look great. We're going to get up tomorrow morning at 5:45 a.m. and we're going to have a 6 a.m. walkthrough up at Bob Amos, get it done, get it out of the way, our special team script and those things that we do on a Friday. Then we're going to flip around and go to the CAF, get a quick meal. Then we're going to head to the buses and head out about 11:30. So the guys will have an opportunity to get a box lunch a little bit later on the trip from Jersey Mike's, I believe, out of that Knoxville area. And then we're also going to stop at Buc-ee's and let them peruse the beef jerky selection there at Buc-ee's, and then head to the hotel. And since it's early kick tomorrow, our fun event of the trip will be the Buc-ee's trip.
I've never been in there, but when a place has something called a beef jerky wall, it gets my attention.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I'm a connoisseur of all things beef jerky. Just so if Buc-ee's is listening, I'm a big fan of the Bohemian garlic. So if Buc-ee's ever wanted to sponsor the UPIKE Bears, I would appreciate a lifetime supply of that beef jerky.
That would do it right there. That would
they charge about as much as you would get at like Jeff Ruby's for a steak. So it's pretty high dollar stuff.
There you go. All right, Coach, let's get one of these players in here and give you a break.
For sure.
We'll be back after this with we'll talk to Landon Rowe, I guess, next after this. You're watching the UPIKE Football Coaches Show from Buffalo Wild Wings in Pikeville, Kentucky. Welcome back to Buffalo Wild Wings, the UPIKE Football Coaches Show. I'm Rick Bentley. He's Landon Rowe. You might recognize this dude. He's from a little place called Pikeville, Kentucky. 6'1", 282-pound junior defensive lineman. Let's start there. Defensive lineman. You were an offensive lineman.
I was for a semester there for in the spring. Well, when Eli Stallard graduated, we were looking for a center, and I played a little bit in high school. I was a starter when I was the senior in high school for them. So I was bouncing back and forth for that, but I haven't played a full season at center. So when I came here from EKU, I was a D lineman, so I've been a D lineman here for every fall. So
offensive line, protect your quarterback. Defensive line, kill the quarterback.
Right.
Last week, I thought, and I was surprised when I looked at the stat sheet because watching the game, it seemed like you spent a lot of time in the backfield.
Yeah,
last week.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was a good rush by us. My DNs did a really good job of getting upfield and keeping them in that pocket. So it was easy for me.
You had your first sack of the season last week. Tell me how that happened.
It was a great experience. It's good to have one. Coach Fitz likes to make jokes in practice sometimes. From a nose perspective, it's hard to get a sack because you're dealing with so many guys in the middle. But he can't really say anything to me now. So
you got your one in.
Right.
You have a quarterback hurry too. Tell me what does that involve, and how do you know when you've got him in your crosshairs?
It's just about how the O lineman sets me. Usually, if I get a good get off on him and I'm able to get my hands to where I want them at, it's really easy for me to get around that guard or center, whoever I'm going against. And, once I have them in my sight, usually I can get back there to them pretty fast.
So Coach tells me that in the scheme that we play, it's not really designed for the linemen to make tackles.
Right.
It's designed for the linebackers to get through and do those things. You had 29 tackles, 15 solos last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good numbers for a guy who's not supposed to be making tackles.
Right. Really, my job at the nose position especially is take on double teams, take on triple teams, do stuff like that to hold up these blockers for guys like Levi Evans and Naj, so they can make a lot of plays. So.
I got to ask you about Naj here in a minute, too. I'm glad you
Yeah.
brought him up. 6 tackles in the win over Baker in the playoffs last year.
Yep.
That had to feel good.
Oh, it was amazing, especially being from this area, never seeing something like that from this team especially. We really want to go out there and show the national stage what we were about and that we deserved to be in the playoffs. So it was good to have everybody locked in for that game, and I was able to contribute the way I did, and we came out with the dub.
And I think you're right. I think that what happened there is we got a lot of national attention
Yep.
in that game. Tell me what you major in. Let's talk about off the field a little bit.
I major in human health performance. My original plan was to go to PT school and stuff like that, but me and my dad, we really sat down and talked about it. He wants, to retire one day. My dad, he owns a lot of restaurants and stuff like that, so I believe what I'll be doing is that right there, be helping him out and stuff like that.
So HHP, that means Lindsay Elliott is
Right.
somebody you see a lot.
Right.
And your coordinator is Coach Elliott.
Right.
So are you tired of the Elliott family yet, or how's
No,
that working out?
no, I love them to death. They brought me in as soon as I got here. Lindsay's been like a mom to me.
Yep.
Coach Elliott been like a father. He's a great guy, great coach. Love all his stuff he does, and love all the stuff Lindsay does for us as well.
Tell me, you got any fun classes right now?
Yeah, I got your class.
There you go.
Yeah, I got your class. I really enjoyed it. This semester's been a little weird, but it's just we're going back and forth. Junior year and stuff like that. So,
Tell me, just set stage for everybody here. This class that I teach, it's sport comm, and so we try to get people in who communicate in sports in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And last year I thought, I'd love to get Coach Haywood in here, so let's get the other perspective of it, not from the person who's asking the questions and covering sports, but
Right.
the person who's being covered. And Coach Haywood was absolutely phenomenal. Of course, we lost him in January.
yeah.
And I kept thinking, who can I bring in? Who can I bring in? I'm like, Coach Williams is right here. Let's use him.
Right.
What did you think about his class this morning?
It was great. I really liked the perspective he brought of, the press conference thing he did. And, it was really good to hear his side of things. I think he's a great coach. I've known him a long time with my sister being who she was and doing basketball and all that stuff. And he's been he was trained his first offers, so we've seen him a lot. So
It's being a student athlete can be a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
You got a lot of things going on. You're trying to focus on playing football. You're trying to focus on the meetings and the weights and all that stuff. And yet people like me are expecting you to come to class when you're
Right.
supposed to and do the things that we need you to do in the class so you can continue to play sports. I say that the reason that so many companies try to hire former student athletes is because if you get through this, you're pretty good at time management.
right. That's the way it's always been. When you hire athletes, it's just they give a different kind of effort with whatever they do. It's not just college athletes. Sometimes it's high school athletes. If you've been in a situation to where you have to do something other than school, it's always a different challenge. So having those guys around and having just anybody that's an athlete help you out in the workforce is really good to have.
And they know how to be a good teammate, too.
Right.
I think that's a
Right.
big part of it. We talk about you and the fact that you're from Pikeville. You're playing on the same field you played high school ball on.
Yeah.
Is that special to you, or would you?
It is. So when I was a senior, playing that last game at Hambley, I thought that would be my last time because where I went to EKU first, it was a bittersweet moment for me. Playing on that field for the last time, then being able to transfer back here and play there every Saturday, well, most Saturdays. It's a great experience. I love that field. I grew up there. I played Little League there. That field's been a lot to me. It meant a lot to me.
And you not only are on the team there, but you're a contributor, man. You're a big part of what we're doing here.
Yeah. When I got brought in, it was expected a lot of me as a freshman. So I was able to play a lot as a freshman too. So I've always been a kind of a role of leadership on this team, and so it's been a really, really fun experience.
You mentioned your family and your sister Trinity, and we talk about her a lot. She's kind of somebody who we all know and follow and love, and tell me what it's been like to be Trinity's older brother. And I know that she gets a lot of attention. I mean, she was Miss Basketball, so it's going to happen, right?
Growing up with Trinity, she's amazing. We love her to death, and she always brings a great attitude to whatever she does. And I would like to say that I taught her that, but I really didn't. She really brought all that stuff on her own. She's a great athlete, phenomenal person. She keeps her faith in everything she does. We're so proud of her, and my younger brother Will. He's come up the same way. He's going to do great things. He's now getting his attention from colleges, playing basketball. He tore his ACL, I think, his sophomore year, so it's been a little rough on him. But he's doing really well. Trent's doing really well, and we just love them both.
And how was it when she started getting all the attention from the college, from media and that sort of thing?
Well, it was her 8th grade year. It was 8th grade year on. I think I was either a freshman or a sophomore in high school. She got her first offer, and I still haven't got mine yet. And she always would bring that up, and I would just bring up my rings. That's all I would bring up to her. So we're a competitive family, and it's always been that way. But whenever she gets her stuff, I'm always so proud of her. She's always on my Instagram, posting out all this stuff for her. And I love all the attention she's getting.
You spent last year at Southern Miss. How often did you go to Hattiesburg?
I was able to make it down to 2 games for Hattiesburg. Being 10 hours away, it's really hard for us to get down there. But we were able to go to her first game at Bowling Green. So it was a really cool experience to see her start her first college game, which I was so proud of her. She's doing great things.
And now she's going to be at Western Kentucky, so it's a little bit closer.
A little bit closer. It's really good. We get to go to a lot more home games for her. Support her in a way we couldn't do at Southern Miss, but I'm really, really proud of her and everything she's doing.
It's great that there's there doesn't seem to be 1 ounce of jealousy.
Yeah, no, there's no jealousy in our family. We're always supportive of each other. Whether it's her or Will or anybody in our family, really. We're always really supportive. I've watched her grow up in the gym. She worked for everything she got, so that's what we're really proud of her for.
So last Friday, night before the game, we all got together in Booth Auditorium, and I noticed that you're not swaying to one side or the other. That means you don't have that big honking ring on.
No, I didn't wear it today. I should have wore it, though.
Tell me about that thing.
It was a blessing to get that, having that experience with the guys from last year and stuff like that. It's never been done here to have that for a football team. It was something really special we got to do, and for the size of it and the weight on that thing, it's crazy. I don't have one that's like it. So
I have a few rings. That is the heaviest one.
That is the heaviest one I have as well.
And one of these days, if we ever get to where we've got a Hall of Fame room set up, I'm going to loan my rings and let them be on display and that's going to be kind of a centerpiece one right there. Of course, I've got national championship rings and that sort of thing too. I've been blessed to be around here for a while. But at the same time, boy, that is a big, beautiful piece of jewelry right there.
Yeah, I have nothing like it. It was, as soon as I got out of the box, it was weighing me down. So I was like, all right.
Yeah, when I left there, I still had it on, and I was walking out with Charlie Pinson, Charlie's buddy of yours too. I know. I said, dude, there's no way I'm going to try to drive home with this ring.
Yeah, no.
And it is massive. But I'll tell you, my favorite thing I told Coach is about the ring is that mine doesn't fit anymore. I've lost some weight, and when I put that thing on, it just slid all the way around my finger, and I thought, okay, well, that's a good thing. It's a good problem to have, right?
Exactly.
So what do you got about the rest of the season? What do you want? What do you want to see?
I want to see us come together as a team. I want to see us finish ball games. I feel like we've struggled a little bit in that, especially coming out of the second half. I just really want to see us succeed in that part of our game. If we could get back to where we were at last year, and succeed a little bit more than we did, it's always the goal. Always the goal is to do better than you did last year. So another ring would be great. Another playoff run would be great as well.
Be good. Landon, I appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you, buddy.
All right, that's Landon Rowe. We'll be back after this. You're watching UPIKE Football Coaches Show from Buffalo Wild Wings in Pikeville, Kentucky. Welcome back to UPIKE Football Coaches Show. I'm Rick Bentley. I'm your host, and this is Micah Lee. And I kind of surprised Coach when I said, I love interviewing Micah. And he's like, really? Micah just doesn't seem like he talks that much. I said, no, we do. We have a nice conversation.
Thanks for having me.
6'4", 278, offensive lineman. Listen, I grew up. I went to a grade school, a high school, 2 colleges, and none of them played football.
Yes, sir.
I know football. I watch football,
Yeah.
like everybody else. But learning about football, and one of the things that I learned from the Belfry staff of all places is they call those offensive linemen the big uglies.
Yeah.
You heard that?
Yes, I've heard a lot of names for the O-linemen. Big skills, big guys, all that.
Listen, but I will tell you this: the first football coach we ever had here, that first preseason, he said, "Listen to me. Your team is only as good as your offensive linemen.
Yes, that's true.
If they don't gel, it's not going to happen."
Yes, sir.
Tell me how does that happen for you? What is?
I feel like as O-linemen, we all have to be on one page. If we're not on one page, then it all makes us wrong. So being all on the same page is where you get that saying from.
Do you spend a lot of time together off the practice field, or how does that work?
Yes, we all, as an O-lineman, we all get together to watch film. Even in the cafeteria, we sit together and eat, and we just try to make a brotherhood out of it because that's what it is.
A team within a team.
Yes, sir.
Fern Creek. Now, listen, I've been to Louisville 100 times probably.
Yes, sir.
Where is Fern Creek in the greater scheme of things there?
Fern Creek is so. What part of Louisville have you been to?
Last time I was there was kind of the Galt House. We played basketball down there.
Okay, so you've been to the Exposition Center.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would say from the Exposition Center, Fern Creek is about like 20 minutes away. It's its own neighborhood, but it's still Louisville.
Yeah.
It's about 20 minutes from my house too.
Actually, I said that the last time I was in Louisville was it'll be 2 years ago this coming April for the National Bowling Tournament.
Okay,
They held it there. And so I've been around quite a bit of Louisville area there, and the first Sweet 16 I ever covered was at Freedom Hall. So,
Okay. Oh wow, that's a while back.
Yeah, it sure is. And then of course, we played. We had an exhibition against Louisville there in the Yum Center, and that place is just,
the Yum Center is amazing.
it really is. And I think I've covered a football championship there at the stadium too, the new stadium. And also that first year that I was sports editor, Piper won their third straight state championship there. That first run in 1989, I was there, and it was played in Louisville there.
In
at the
Louisville,
Expo
okay.
Center. Yeah, so
That's nice.
yeah, been around Louisville quite a bit. You were on the All Commonwealth team this year.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that experience.
Yes, that was a new experience for me. We went to Lexington over the summer, and Coach Phipps gathered us, and we got honored at that event. I learned a lot that weekend. It was about some guys that were getting inducted into the Hall of Fame that weekend, and then the guys that have played in Kentucky and are on that list. But that weekend was just a real eye-opener for me, and something that I was looking forward to within the season coming up.
And it was it was for all the schools in Kentucky, but
Yes,
a
sir.
lot of those people who are being honored either are from Kentucky or I guess played college ball or whatever.
In Kentucky, yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yes, sir.
So it was you, X, and who else was?
Jordan Williams, Brandon Newton, and then Brett Coleman.
Brett
yes,
Coleman.
sir.
Yeah, Belfry guy.
Yes, sir.
And tell me, that had to be a source of pride for you being a Kentucky kid anyway.
Yes. Yes. I always looked up to wanting to be on the All Commonwealth team because Kentucky is the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
So that was a great honor, and I appreciate everybody who's involved in that with selecting the players from this team on that. So it was a big. I took it well, and I appreciate it.
So you're an all-conference player. Now tell me about being an offensive lineman. I mean, it's not like you can look at your stats every week and
Yes,
see
sir.
how you're pacing.
Yes, sir.
Was that? Did you expect that? Were you surprised by it? How did that come? Because, like I say, you can't look and say, "Well, I gained 1,200 yards. I should be all conference."
Yeah, that is true.
But you can say, "He gained 1,200 yards. I should be all conference." Right?
Yes, we had a running back, Amon Williams, and Lee Kirkland that year. All Commonwealth. So we don't get stats as an old lineman. So whenever I got that, throughout that year I was taking
taking every game step by step and trying to be the best that I could be within the O-line. So I really took pride in that year, and throughout the season we accomplished a lot of things in the run game and the pass game, and obviously with the sacks too.
Right.
So I think that we don't get a stats as O-linemen, but I think that goes to show
Right.
you have a good O-line with those being accomplished.
If we're gaining yards and the quarterback's upright,
Yes, sir.
we're doing our job. And I'm glad you mentioned Lee, and we've already mentioned X.
Yes.
Tell me what changes there have been this year with the change in quarterbacks, because they throw the ball. They're similar, but they're
Yes.
also different players back there.
Yes, they do have two different play styles, but I think it's just football. At the end of the day, we're protecting the quarterback, and whatever he does, we have to protect him while he does it. So I don't think there's a big change, but as an O-line, we just have to protect the quarterback.
So you are a grad student. So
Yes, sir.
What degree are you seeking right now?
Right now, I recently changed my major, so it's a MBA with I'm now on the science side of it. So it's strategic communication, the MBA
Nice.
side. Yes, sir.
I like that, strategic communication. That's going to be a good field
Yes,
for you. Right
sir.
there. What was your undergraduate?
Film and media with Andrew Reed.
Did you really?
Yes, sir.
Outstanding. So one of these guys can't show up. You can pick up the camera and run with it, right?
Yes, I actually did work with them too.
Did you?
Yes, sir.
That's good. That's good. Experiences like that help you grow.
Yes,
and,
it does.
And you get to meet people that you wouldn't normally meet, like these people who are they're at your games all
Yes.
the time, but at the same time, you've got to, business to take care of. You can't be looking around and
Yes,
seeing what's
that's
going
true.
on. It's one thing I used to tell my students when I taught full time was that up until this point in your life, you've shown up at the field and the pylons have been out, and everything. Look, but somebody does that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so now what you're looking at is if you want to stay involved, you're going to have to be that somebody for a lot of these different things. And so
That's true.
That's one of the things that we like to talk about. While we're talking about off the field, what drives you?
Off the field, really what drives me is my family and being motivated by them and seeing the people in my family that has done great and done great things. I want to be that and do that. So that drives me to be great.
And last Friday night, we got together in Booth Auditorium for the
Yes.
ring ceremony.
Yes.
And again, I mentioned this to the big fella, and he didn't have his ring on. I don't see your ring.
No, I don't.
Those things are hard to carry around, aren't they?
Yes, they are. They're pretty heavy.
They're big.
Yeah.
How many do you have championship rings? Is that
That was my first one, actually.
Yeah. Good.
Yes, my first one.
well? Let me tell you, they're all not that big and they're all not
Yeah.
that heavy. That was a special
Okay.
ring Coach put together for you
Yes,
guys.
I appreciate that for Coach Phipps.
What did you think about that ceremony and the night and all that stuff?
Yes, going back on that that ceremony, it was a night to celebrate the 2024 team.
Right.
I would say to celebrate what we did that year, and that night was great. I got to see the past members that was on the team, everybody who came back, and it was just a really good time to get together and celebrate that year.
Hope you like those guys.
Yes,
Because we're
yes.
going to be bringing you guys back.
Yes, sir.
More than that. That's
Yes,
not going to be
sir.
the last time we bring you
Yes,
guys in
sir.
for a celebration. The goal is to get another one of those.
Yes,
right?
sir. That is. Yes, sir. This year.
That's great. That's what we're looking for right there. So what do we expect out of Micah?
What you expect out of me is to do my job, be versatile, and I'm always coachable, and I'm ready to work.
Being an offensive lineman is a little bit like being a kicker.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody notices you until you mess up.
Yep, that is true.
And so as long as we don't notice you and don't mention you a lot on the live streams and all that sort of stuff, you must have had yourself a pretty good week.
Yes,
right?
sir.
So what do you this week? What do you know about Maryville?
About Maryville, we've been breaking down film as an O-line and as an offense together. As an O-line, we just got to do what we have to do. And one of the things is being focused in everything that we do. We can't have no mental mistakes, and we just got to get the job done. We've been having we had 3 very terrible losses, but we just gotta get our mind right and come ready to work.
I think we're a player or two each game from those being 3 wins.
Yes, sir. That is
I
true.
noticed you got a little tape on your hand there. Don't see that a lot for the interviews. So what's going on there?
I actually dislocated my finger, but in the game, this was from back last spring, but it just it's a reoccurring injury.
Yeah. Nothing going to keep you on the sideline?
No, sir. No, sir.
Will anything keep you on the sideline?
Nah.
That's what I'm talking about. Listen, one of my favorite guys we got on campus right here, Micah Lee from Louisville, Kentucky. Appreciate you, brother, coming by.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. And we'll be back after this, wrap things up with Coach Phipps. You're watching the UPIKE Football Coaches Show from Buffalo Wild Wings. Come by and see us. Say hello to Micah Lee. Welcome back to Buffalo Wild Wings. Rick Bentley, Corey Phipps with you again. And, Coach, 2 really good representatives of our program we just talked to here.
Yeah, they are. They're 2 different personalities from different places, but they both represent us really well, don't they?
They're a lot of fun to talk to, and Micah and Landon do a great job in getting the spotlight on those linemen who don't normally get it. That's a good time, right?
No, it is. It is. So we picked those guys in this week for a reason. Our offense and defensive lines had the opportunity to come eat with us today, and we appreciate Buffalo Wild Wings taking care of them.
They really did. So we leave tomorrow and head down to Maryville, play an afternoon game. Any concern with that being the first afternoon?
No, not really. I think it's going to be a nice afternoon. We practice in the afternoon, 3:45, so 1 o'clock's a little bit earlier. But, as soon as the guys get out of class, we generally practice in the afternoon. So they're used to the heat a little bit, and a lot of our guys are from the South, so they get the heat.
They'll look at you and say, "What heat?"
Yeah, exactly.
This is not hot down here, Coach. And pregame meal for a 1 o'clock start is going to be somewhere in the 9-10 range.
Yeah. We try to go 4 hours from kick, so I guess that's more like 9 a.m. Maybe a little bit after 9 we'll eat. So and then there's a bunch of snacks and hydration items in the locker room, so that's not an issue.
What do we have to do to win this one?
We got to play clean football. They're going to be very smart. Don't let Division III non-scholarship athletics fool you. They look like a scholarship football team. So we got to be really smart and not make mistakes that pin us back and put us in a net negative situation. So, I think that's it. It's more about us than anybody at this point.
That was going to be my question. Percentage-wise, how much of it is us and how much of it is them?
Yeah,
we're right now?
Through the first 3 weeks we made some young guy mistakes as a little bit younger team. So now you've got essentially a third of the season under your belts. Let's not make those mistakes again.
Coach, it's been a busy week for us, and it's a busy weekend for us in that we had volleyball Tuesday night, we had a soccer doubleheader last night, we got volleyball Friday and Saturday at home, and man, there's a lot of W's being piled up right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good athletics being played in this athletic department right now. We've made some really dynamite hires in recent years who have really recruited well, and even some of our coaches who have popped on the scene to really coach a roster that was recruited by the previous coach have put those kids in the right places. So women's soccer, doing really, really well. Men's soccer doing really, really well. Volleyball coming on strong in conference play. Even our cross and golf teams, and some people have had the opportunity to get out and compete in our tennis program out and about this weekend. Some really positive things going. Our CFO, who is my direct report as the athletic director, hit me up, Barry Bentley, last night and said, man, it's, through text message, it's really nice to compete in some of these sports we traditionally haven't. I said, this is only the beginning as we get this thing really healthy.
I want to say this because Nelson Scott's a buddy of mine. That women's golf team, last year they kept trying to beat Milligan. They kept trying because they're good.
Yeah, Milligan's strong.
So we went down and played in their tournament Monday and Tuesday, and finished 14 strokes ahead of Milligan.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Golf's one of those funny things that on the right day you can really get hot and catch a lick.
And a lot of that has to do with your 1s and 2s are going to take care of themselves. How are your 4s and 5s going to play?
And as we've changed the scholarship structure and model here, and some of our down the roster developmental kids, we've been able to get a better kid in all of our sports, then you'll see those kids early in their careers bring value to their teams and their rosters, and then later in their careers they're going to be the starters and the 1s and 2s and really score some points for us as an athletic department.
Last week we talked about the ring ceremony, which was last Friday night, and I asked both of the guys, and Landon said, I've got a few of those. I don't have any that big.
Yeah.
That was a
yeah.
nice ring you put together.
No, it was. It was a beautiful ring. We appreciate Signature Rings for helping us put that together. We appreciate all of our sponsors and people who helped us fundraise the money to get there. You know, it was a really nice event. You know, we had an opportunity for the families to get their rings, you know, because I think those coaches' wives and girlfriends and kids, they sacrifice a lot, and people don't realize when dad's on the road recruiting or, you know, wherever you may be game planning. So the fact that they got to get some of those things, the people who have really bought into our program through the years, not just my time here over the last, you know, just over 4 years, but also previous to that, like yourself and some of those public safety guys and some of those,
Really
you know, guys from maintenance who you know help us set up every Saturday. You know, they deserve some love, deserve some stuff. So academic support folks, you know, I guess you can say it takes a village to raise a kid, and it takes a campus to manage a student athlete. So, you know, it's just one of those deals that, you know, I don't know if I can do that every year fundraising wise if we win a few more of those, but I want to make sure some people who mean a lot to us as a program were recognized.
I thought that the one that meant the most to you, other than maybe your wife and that sort of thing, was Governor Patton.
No.
Adding to his enormous collection
No.
of rings on his statue down
No,
there.
I mean, so to tell that story, you know, Governor Patton, you know, if you're somebody watching from afar, 2-term governor here in the state of Kentucky, and really the education gov, as they call him, and started the community college system, and then came back and really, in a lot of ways, saved the University of Pikeville when things were rough. You know, got a med school going and started the process and the talk about the optometry school, and still our chancellor, near 90 years old, still out helping fundraise and recruit donors for the university. He is a force, and if you look at his statue at the bottom of the 99 in the center of campus, there are championship rings from previous sports. And so I believe he said this was his 17th ring, conference championship or national championship ring. So, you know, it meant a lot to me. And the fact is, you know, early in the deal when I gave him his ring, I went down there because he's an older gentleman. I didn't want him to have to come up the stairs. But, man, when we took the team picture, next thing I turn around, he is darn near running up the steps to be in the center of the team picture. So that meant a lot. That meant a lot. There's a lot of people that meant a lot to me to honor that night. No more so than our team. You know what they meant to me last year. But in the rearview mirror, we got to move forward to this year's team, and you know, in the windshield is a whole lot bigger for a reason, and try to start stacking up some wins to compete for that conference championship this year.
It was great to see those guys, you know, Lee and Diego Soto and some of those guys coming back, and Headley, you know, we got to see him again. I haven't seen him in a while. But I was standing right by the steps, and somebody went blowing past me, and I looked around. It was Gov. There he went.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
That's my guy
That's
right
right.
there. Coach, let's get us a win this week.
Absolutely.
All right, that's going to wrap things up here from Buffalo Wild Wings. So we want to thank Micah, and we want to thank Big Landon Rowe and all the people who were a part of this today. Thank Coach Phipps for always being in a good mood, regardless of what I've done to him and that sort of thing. And I want to thank the people here at Buffalo Wild Wings for having us in here every week. And boy, they take care of us so much. And I was able to bring a couple of T-shirts for a couple of the ladies who help us out a lot today. And by the way, one of them says you're supposed to get a hoodie for us. I'm just throwing it out
Absolutely.
there.
I think Coach Elliott brought it.
Did he? All right, good. We're in good shape then. So for all of those people and for Coach Phipps, I'm Rick Bentley. We'll see you next week here on the UPIKE Football Coaches Show.